And we are live. Welcome to AmeriCanaries podcast number 3 in season 2. I'm Ken Katz, the host, and with me is Mark Foster, founder of the AmeriCanaries. Um, if you want to know where we've been, well, Mark's wife had a fairly big medical issue, and Mark can talk about it if he wants. And he's sort of been unavailable taking care of her. And Jeff Ewick, unfortunately, his dad passed away, and Jeff has been, preoccupied with stuff with that. So we have not had a podcast because it would have been wrong to force everybody to have a podcast, and we want to make sure that we could have something where everyone had time, and we also thought this would be a good um, point in time to actually have a podcast. The sort of first portion of the season is over. We're now heading into the World Cup / international break, and we have lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to try to do this in 45 minutes or so. So I'll let Mark talk about what he wants to talk about, and then we'll see what we got.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can hit, status of the club, where it's at, and how we feel about that. I've got a few thoughts there. We've got obviously Josh Sargent's naming to the national team for the World Cup, which is fantastic. We've got our upcoming visit from the club to Tampa
Correct.
that needs to be brought up. There's been, some development with that, for better or worse, and not sure where else we want to go from there. I know there's some things that.
The Atanasio.
Oh yeah,
right.
The Atanasio, because I mean that came out a few days ago too.
Right. The Atanasio visit, and the fact that TNC snagged him, and I think his son. Is that who it is?
I think it's his son. Yeah.
I couldn't exactly tell. The resemblance wasn't that strong between the father and the son. I'm assuming it said the Atanasios. I'm assuming it's a son.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he could take after his mother. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's wearing the hoodie. So kudos to Jack and Chris for getting that. That was, I'm like, oh, very nice. I mean, they've done, very well. I mean, a lot of it started with Jack doing it right after a match in his boyhood bedroom, and now now it's become a much more viable, profitable venture, as opposed to Jack just talking and doing it and hooking up with Chris. So it's pretty good. So the club is struggling a bit. If you look at where they are in the table, they're sitting 5th on 32, but within 3 points away are teams all the way in 12th.
Yeah.
So Reading is in 12th, and in between Norwich and I mean that there's basically, so there's 8 teams separated by 3 points.
I think this league is, I don't know what to call it. Some people think it's not a very good league this season. I think there's an enormous amount of parity. I mean, Norwich are 5th. They're 9 points out from first, which for a lot of people that seems insurmountable. You and me, Ken, coming from a baseball world, they're 3 games out. That's how I kind of see it. They're 3 games out, and you can make up 3 games. Now we're how many games in are we? We're 21 games in. So
21. It looks like
not,
you still have some games like Millwall.
Yeah,
is on 20. Coventry's on 19 for some reason.
Well, that's because they had those early season games where their pitch was not available after the rugby, I believe is what happened there. The rugby tore it up.
And so West Brom and Huddersfield. So virtually,
I think that's where a lot of that comes from.
Like 20 of the teams are in 21. So basically it's 21.
Yeah. I think I think really that it ends up being like there's 3 games outstanding, and 2 of them are with Coventry and somebody else at this point. So I think there's maybe one other game outstanding that maybe got postponed for some reason.
Gotcha, but
a lot of parity this year.
Yeah, I mean, I said there's going all the way down, and in that mix, you have teams recently in the Premier League: QPR, Swansea, Reading. Recently, as in like in the last 10 years or so.
Oh, most of these have been. I mean,
yeah.
Burnley, United, Watford, QPR, Swansea,
right,
Reading, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Stoke, Cardiff, Hull, West Brom, Wigan, and Huddersfield. It's most of the league. So,
and then you have those who I don't think have ever been in the Premier League: Preston, Luton, Coventry.
But not talking to Norwich City proper. I think that the gap is widening with all the money. I think the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is widening. If you go back whatever period of time you want, I don't know that the gap was as great in past years, 10 years, 15, 20 years ago. I don't think it was nearly as big. But as the money continues to grow, I think that's really driving this. And maybe as a result, we just see more parity. I mean, yeah, we're sitting at 32 points, and you go down 11 points or 9 points, and you're at West Brom and Wigan at 21 or at 23, excuse me. So you go 9 points. We're 9 points from the top, and we're 9 points from relegation after more than halfway through the season. No, wait. No, we're not.
No.
I'm thinking 38. We're on 46 this year. So
we're
not quite halfway. So, but still, I mean, it's insane. But that means you have got to be on it all season long. Now, we've been sitting first and second, for a fair chunk of the season, and we weren't playing well doing it. To me, it didn't seem like we were playing well. We'd eke out a result and take our 3 points and say thank you very much. But it wasn't like the past couple of years where we just dominate a game and maybe we'd not get the shutout just for whatever reason. We'd get one defensive lapse and we still get those. We still get the defensive lapse, give up a goal, maybe 2, but if we can score like crazy, we can get away with that. If we can't score like crazy, we get what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, when Farker's first promotion, they just were able to score like crazy. They were winning, 4-3, 5-4, 3-2. They just happened to score. I mean, and then they came up and go, oh, defense isn't very good. Yeah, we knew that, and that's what they were able to score. And then the second time, okay, the point they tightened up the defense, didn't score as much. That was intentional. And then, the talent
laid another egg in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, the talent wasn't there, and then they sold Buendia, who was so important to the club, and then they just never replaced him with anybody, close to being that dynamic. But you mentioned that they're eking out results. I mean, I keep seeing some uniformity with the Twitter for people who are actually seeing it, and I've never seen such uniformity this year from quote unquote Norwich Twitter, where you'll after the match I'll see 20 people basically say the same thing. There's not a whole lot of it's like, well, this wasn't good enough, boy, this is bad, defensively frail, there's no strategy, what were those subs, whatever it was, they're all saying the same thing. It's they're all uniform, and no one's going to say, oh wow, I really thought that sub was I thought that was a good substitution, that didn't work, oh wow, I really like the strategy. No, it's like there's no strategy. What's the substitution pattern? We're not playing any recognizable style.
I don't think we're saying anything it's a massive revelation here. But what is our identity? I don't know. We knew what our identity was with Farka. We're a
Correct.
year in with Dean Smith, and I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know what it is. If I knew that, if it was communicated to us, communication, that ought to be our Pee Wee Herman word of the day. Pee Wee's Playhouse. Whenever I say communication, we all scream. But that's kind of an inside joke. Sorry, guys, if you're watching abroad. Inside joke on more than one level, I think, right now. But yeah, if it were communicated, what is he trying to do? What is it? And instead we get this, well, I've left my teams better than I found them, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. How are we going about that? Which way are we going? And part of that is players and part of that is tactics. And I don't know tactically what we're looking at. Something that got brought up, I want to say by Michael Bailey here fairly recently. We got 9 players going out of contract after this year. Now what's our identity? What's our identity in January? Are we gonna sell some guys in January? Are we going to lose people on freeze or just flat out drop them? Is this a return to 2016 when we went back down? And then that first year coming back up, we realized we didn't have what it took to then we lost a lot of players then. I think that was when the likes of Ruddy and some others went away that first year back when we had that 3-year run in the championship. Are we back to a cycle where we're going to see a multi-season run in the championship for a couple of years while we try to get our feet back under us with some
possibly
new plan? I don't know.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, I hate to say that, but honestly, I think bouncing back with what we have is just not a great idea. They might be better served by not getting promoted in any way, shape, or form and figuring out, hey, this isn't working, and come up with a better all-around strategy. And then possibly, we don't know what's going to happen between now and Boxing Day.
Yeah.
I tend to think the vast bulk of the fan base wants a new manager. But that seems to be.
I think every game like we just had yesterday is another game closer. And I mean that's really easy to say, and it kind of sounds kind of stupid and obvious, but I was listening. I've been watching. I went back and watched several pods over the last 24 hours since the game. Where what were they saying 2 and 3 weeks ago? Well, if we continue to have some of these games, then you got to start asking the question. And well, here we are. We're asking the question. Yeah, we had 2 wins, in this horrible run, but we're still in this run of what are we doing? What are we doing? What is the plan? We're playing all these guys out of position in different positions. Our midfield doesn't ever look the same 2 games in a row, hardly. I say that, and I think we actually kept them. No, wait, we went to the Diamonds yesterday, so I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know and what's going on in my head, and I think that's where everybody gets frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
And
agreed.
I haven't said that I think that we are our expectations we're spoiled because we keep going back up, and we're spoiled because we tend to be the 21st best team in the country and all these other things. And so we have that high level expectation when we are in the championship. But, on another level, we do. I mean, we kind of sound on some levels, we do sound like those top 6 teams in the Premier League when we're down in the championship, where if we're not just stomping the crap out of everybody, well, what's going on? There must be something wrong. Well,
right.
We're sitting here a point ahead of Millwall. Millwall has a game in hand, at the tail of the playoff picture. Doesn't look good.
No, it's not good. The fact that they're, we're still not in the playoffs. Be curious, because now Atanasio has seen 2 matches and they've both been losses. I know the Spurs, I know they lost. I don't remember what the score of that was. when Spurs beat him.
I don't know.
It was at the end of the Premier League season, so I'm sure it was a lot to a little.
Yeah. Give me a sec if you've got some other thought there.
No. So it'd be interesting. So the
5-0.
Yeah, that's bad.
At home.
That's bad. It's almost as bad as our two football teams' results yesterday.
Yeah,
we're talking
college
football.
That was a 0-1-6 run to end the season.
Ooh, yeah, awesome. Who the hell did they draw with?
Wolverhampton away. The game before the end of the season.
Wolverhampton with their 8 managers in 2 weeks or whatever they have going on. Don't know. Yeah, so it's just like I'm seeing a lot of dissatisfaction, and it's been kind of unified for what's going on. You mentioned Michael Bailey. Michael said he is available to come on towards probably like before Boxing Day or something. So let's.
Okay.
So if you're listening, Michael, we're gonna get you on. We'll
probably not, but we'll get him.
We'll get Haji back on, and I really would like to get some of the AmeriCanaries who actually have gone over and visited. I know of a couple of them.
Well, Sean was over there yesterday.
Yeah, Sean was just over, and then earlier in the season there was somebody who expressed an interest. So I forgot the name, but we need to get back in touch and go, hey, tell us, what the experience is like for those who haven't.
Well, I won't take too much away from Sean, but he was teasing me some really nice pics of his experience because I think he went all in on his experience and
he also he went to a concert. I remember he posted about this a while ago. It's like, okay, this is going to be like a big thing that he was doing, so we'll have to get him back on. We can also see how his move, because he's moved east a little bit.
Oh, did he? I missed that.
Yeah, he just moved to like the Virginia Beach area from wherever he was. He just set up a different office, so we'll get him back on. So one thing, this is the last time JT actually played.
Yeah,
and did well.
League game,
and did well. There's a lot of positive impressions. There's people had some very positive things about. Hey, he did well. Look at him. He should play more. He wasn't criticized. He was complimented on his play. And since that, he hasn't got a minute.
Right.
He hasn't. He hasn't got a minute anywhere.
I think he benefited from Kenny getting the red card because that required us to shuffle the deck. And then from there, I'm not real sure. But one thing I have noticed is it seems like every time I turn my head, he's being featured in some of Norwich's media somewhere. If they're selling this Christmas sweaters or something, he's showing up a lot within their media. So I don't know if that's a Streisand effect or what there, but it seems like every time I turn around, he's there.
All right. Sorry, that was Where's the Marinara Sauce, Dad? Yeah, so you're saying he's in a lot of the advertisements and stuff?
Yeah, he seems to be showing up in a lot of their imagery.
Good. I mean, I know he signed a long-term contract. He's also pretty decent looking guy. So you're going to want to have someone who's have track. It's not like let's put Robert Snodgrass. Nothing against Snodgrass, but he's not going to win. The sexiest man in Norwich contest when he was there. Yeah, that just wasn't. He was a heck of a player, but just he's.
I'd love to have his right foot back.
He was a heck of a player. I don't know where he was at the time, so I always thought that he was like the only one playing sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just wait for that free kick outside the box and let him go from there.
Everyone else.
The other thing, I don't want to backtrack too much on this, but I think part of the problem I struggle with Norwich is you and I over here, we are used to various sports and leagues, their teams, depending on where they are in the pecking order, they go through certain cycles that are very easy to predict. Your Orioles are in the ascension of a new cycle that
Correct.
they're having. My Royals are where they are. Teams come, we can see where the talent is going to come from readily, apparently, because of drafts and how the youth movements are set up over in America. Yeah, we have the academy, but we really don't see within the academy and how those players necessarily always progress to making the club. If I look at the Royals and I see that they got, 4 guys that are hitting 325 down in Omaha and, some guy just raking it down in Double-A, I can feel pretty good about that. We don't really see a lot of that with Norwich, and I'm not throwing blame anywhere. It's a struggle that I have of I can, with a club that I support in my Royals that has traditionally struggled, I'm willing to wait if I can see the process. If I know, okay, we had this draft of pitchers a few years ago that was supposed to come through. Well, guess what? It didn't, and they cleaned house this winter. Everybody's gone. The GM's gone, the manager's gone, the pitching coach is gone. They've cleaned house because we had this great draft of pitchers several years ago, and only one of them's getting any regular playing time at the major league level now. But that gave me 5 years of hope. Okay, I'm waiting for these guys to come up. Then it fell flat. You don't the patience is hard to have following an English club when you don't see that and you don't know where the roster is coming from. You don't have a sense of what might be taking place even in January versus what might happen over the next summer versus what might be coming in the pipeline 2 and 3 years down the road. And that's something I struggle with. It's something that I have to wonder for someone like Atanasio, how is he going to relate with this as well? Because, Brewers have been through the same kind of process. So that's kind of long-winded, and I apologize for that. But I just, you have systems. NBA teams, they go through these cycles unless they are massively on the pecking order and very well run. You get your draft picks, you make your playoff runs, and then maybe you tank, so you get more draft picks, and then it just cycles and cycles and cycles. And if it doesn't work, they fire everybody.
Right. But you're right. I mean, some of the younger players, okay. John Rowe, well, I know he's been hurt. Okay. Well, is he going to play more? Okay. What's going on? Gibbs is playing a lot. Is that the right name? The midfielder?
Yeah, I believe you're on the right track there.
He played yesterday.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That didn't do what I wanted it to do.
Squad, here we go. Hold on. Liam Gibbs.
Okay,
so Liam Gibbs, yeah. He's been playing a lot, but you have Cantwell who came up. Okay, Cantwell played a lot, and now he's in and out.
McCallum's one.
Right, McCallum. So there's some talent there, but they're still bringing in. It's almost as if they don't trust Obama Dele, obviously.
Yeah, Andy's been hurt a lot.
And JT, I think many people would prefer JT and Obama Dele to be the center back combination.
Right, and they've played together a lot. and I understand a roster is a stew, and you're starting 11 even more so. You got guys that you bring up from academy, you got guys that you've bought, and then maybe you got guys that you're renting, so to speak. Baseball, that's a 1-year rental. Soccer, it's guys that you're getting on loan, at least at this level. I get that, but again, where's the plan? What's the idea? Where's the plan? Where is this going?
Yeah, not sure.
Because I don't even know that I'm hearing definitive statements about what are we trying to get out of this season.
Don't know.
Is that a fair comment? I don't know, because if I missed it, I missed it. I'll be honest. I've been busy. You've been busy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I try to catch all the games, but I don't keep up with all the stories. I don't catch everything Michael Bailey reads. I don't watch all the pods, every time they drop.
Well, it's impossible, but there's so many things.
It is. I mean,
things going on. The fact that you and Jeff follow that, more than I do.
I'm 3 years from my first retirement, so maybe after that, we'll see. So
there you go. Yeah. So we don't know what's going on with that. What the whole plan is. All right, we're 5:42 here. So
good Lord, we ate a lot of time with that.
Yeah, it's okay. So let's talk. Let's do Josh, and then the TNC and Atanasio
and
stuff.
Tampa. Yeah.
Right. So as we know, Josh Sargent is the only player on Norwich going to the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it had been Scotland instead of Wales, we'd see 2 more with Kenny and Grant. But you got 1. Now there's other guys that have been through. I mean, James Madison, obviously. I don't know what his status is after yesterday, because I know he took a knock.
Oh, I know he was selected to the team.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, he took a knock yesterday, and I think everybody kind of freaked out for a bit. But I haven't followed up on that to know where he's at.
I don't know. Right.
It may be nothing. It may be something. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 1 guy. And, I'm not going to fault Norwich, for only having 1 guy in the World Cup. It's not easy. Maybe next time around when they're over here, there's going to be more players, just because it's going to be a bigger pool. But you're also probably talking about countries that we may not be getting players from either. So it's hard to say.
True.
So, but yeah, I'm totally chuffed for Josh for getting it. I think he played his way in these last 3 or 4 months, which is often the case.
Right, he did.
If you had asked me 2 months ago, I would have said nope. And then he started seeing some playing time in that last round of friendlies that we had, and he did some good things in that. And obviously, he's been tearing it up at the championship level.
Mm-hmm.
So, good on him for making it. We'll be rooting for him.
Yeah, a lot of that goes into it. As another perspective, Zach Steffen, who we saw, those of you who watched a match saw, he's Burrow's keeper. He used to be a number 2 at Man City. Zach played at University of Maryland, and he was the USA's number 1 goalkeeper between 18 and 21, 2018, 21. And then he sort of got injured, and then the Arsenal guy, he's going to be number 1. The guy who plays for Arsenal, Matt.
Right.
His name escapes me. I knew he was going to be selected, but the fact that Zach wasn't selected was kind of surprising.
Right.
Because he had set himself up to be on the team, and he went out on loan to play regularly, which was something that he needed to do. I actually had a little brief Twitter back and forth with Taylor Twellman, who actually did meet in person at some point in the past at the University of Maryland, and Taylor agreed that Zach needed to go out on loan to play regularly.
Right.
It was kind of funny. It was like he agreed with me, and the next day, all of a sudden Zach goes out on loan, and then he didn't get selected.
Yeah, Matt Turner.
Matt Turner, thank you.
Yeah, I had to pull up our roster.
Yeah, he looked good in the friendlies. He looked good. Also, Zach was making a couple really bad mistakes, and
Right.
but Matt Turner looked really, really good.
Right. I'm looking at all the Dallas connections on this roster.
He played better. So, um, do I think Josh is going to start? He very well might.
Yeah,
Um,
I wouldn't be
he
surprised.
very well might. Yeah, because they play Wales first, and then, of course, the very uh, interesting timing. I got to give the World Cup organizers credit for figuring out when to play matches for the U.S. audience. And that certainly couldn't have been the number one thing in there.
Right.
But if you look at the 5 a.m. East Coast matches when they play them, none of them are with the top two teams
No.
in any of the groups. They're the bottom two teams in
Right.
any of the groups. So none of them are sexy. Everything that is better, the 2 o'clock matches are, oh, these are two of the better teams. These are teams that we know we're going to get.
Yeah.
So Black Friday,
Oh
2
my
p.m.
goodness.
2 p.m. Eastern time, USA versus England. I think this will be the highest rated soccer telecast in the history
Ever in the
in
US.
the US, right, in the US. I think it'll be definitely the highest ever. It's Black Friday. You got everyone who is going to be at home, and it's 2 p.m.
And
It's
if they went shopping, they got done
yeah,
3 hours ago.
right.
Because all that insanity ends
Right.
early.
It's 2 p.m. And then you have all the bars and restaurants that regularly do this are going to be raking in buku bucks. To one near me called Union Jacks, which is a soccer bar that I went to. In 2018, there was like a 7 a.m. match. We saw England beat someone handily, and they opened, at
Yeah.
like 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and we went. No way would I go anywhere near any of these places
Yeah.
on
I
Black Friday to see
I
this.
might
This could be
try,
a
but
zoo.
I might try to go to our regular small little place, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Just because Lindsay's having another surgery that Monday, in-laws are going to be in town. I could maybe get away with it, but probably not. I don't know that Lindsay's going to be up for going. I mean, normally she loves going.
Hmm.
She's not a soccer person. I mean, yeah, she's got a jersey that I got her. I she got breast cancer over the summer. Just to reveal this, it's not a secret or anything. She's got breast cancer, and she's had a real big effort attitude towards it all. F it all. I don't care. I'm gonna beat this. And she's always I've joked about this. She's always kind of identified with Millwall. So I got her a Millwall jersey this year, and she loves it to death. And it's she's very definitely got an FU cancer attitude, and that's kind of where it comes from.
Hmm.
But she does like to go to the pub that I've traditionally watched games at. It's an Arsenal pub. It's small. It was featured on Restaurant Impossible a year and a half ago now. It would have been summer before last.
Okay.
And it's a great little place. And of course, obviously, it's English. It's an English pub, and
Hmm.
it would be a hell of a place to watch the game.
Right.
And I think Lee would take care of us really well if he said, "Hey, we'd really like to get in for seats. Do we need to make a reservation?" Oh yeah, I got you covered, kind of a thing, because we're fairly regular there. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to swing this just
Yeah.
because of her surgery. Her parents
Hmm.
are going to be in town. Don't want to leave them in the lurch because they're not going to be interested in doing this.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
think.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we're gonna be watching at home,
on
so
a quiet night, yeah, they might like to go to this
right.
pub, but not for this insanity.
Yeah. Yeah. The places who are gonna have it, I want nothing to do with that crowd because you're just not going to get good service. It's going to be, you know, lunacy. And I'm not a big fan of doing that anyway. I'm not a big fan of going to a bar or restaurant to watch a sporting event.
There's
That's
there's a
something
time and a
I'm
place for Lindsay and I have actually done it with
a
some
big
of the
fan of.
women's games. We've
Mhm.
got another place that we've gone down on South Side Fort Worth. We've got some friends that have a place down there that we've gone to, and it's just mostly my Vaqueros friends and us. We were at the game doing it, but the pub is also a big Vaqueros pub for that, and so we do that. And she actually enjoyed that. She'd watch the game and all that. And it was good, but yeah, I'm not huge on it.
All right, so that's a good segue to, hey, what are people doing Black Friday if they're not watching the match? Do you want to go down to Tampa? Because Norwich is visiting Tampa. They're
Yeah,
bringing all the non-World Cup players, which is everybody but Josh or who wants to go, and they're doing training down in Tampa, and it's open to the public on Black Friday. Black Friday, the same day that USA is playing England, and that's the day that they brilliantly decided to come over
okay.
here and have
So
it to be available for people to come by. And now I'll
the
go to Mark, who will tell you how poorly the communication
yeah,
has been.
why this is wrong. I'm not going to fault Norwich. They can't set the international schedule. But here's the thing. You have decided to do this on the busiest travel week in America.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Thanksgiving week is the busiest travel week in America. If you had any aspirations of making this a fan event, that right there is a big strike. I mean, you might as well have had it on Christmas Day. But yeah, I mean, Wednesday of Thanksgiving is the worst travel day in America, period. Friday is not a whole lot better. And Friday has a lot of local congestion just because of the shopping insanity.
Right.
The workout is in the morning, and then for the 2:00 game, the team is going to a pub, and there's going to be a watch party. They've got someplace picked out, and the club has the details. I'm not going to,
right.
I'm not going. Would I have liked to have gone had I not had, the personal reasons, that make it unavailable for me? Yeah, I would. But I'm going to need more than 2.5, 3 weeks heads up.
Correct.
And that was my other problem with this. They knew about this weeks and months ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's not been any outreach. I had to hear about it secondhand, follow up through Elliot King with the club and say, hey, I'm hearing about this. Is there something going on? Oh yeah, I'm gonna clue you in on this tomorrow. And even then it was what are they what's the word they used? They didn't want me leaking it out to like the whole world.
Embargoed.
Thank you.
Embargoed.
Having a brain fart.
It's okay. Working in the federal government in some high-profile areas, embargo is a word you get a lot.
Yeah. It was somewhat embargoed. I mean, it was okay for me to post it to the group and everything like that and say, hey, something's coming, but the details are still meh. Obviously, the teams release those details, and it's like, okay, fine. Have fun with it. And anybody who can make it, great, fantastic. I think it's just going to be a local event, though. And I think it's going to be very hard to get anybody from out of state to show up for that.
And for us, I mean, you're on the Canaries Trust board. Is that?
Yeah, I'm ambassador. I mean,
right. So Mark's directly connected to the Canaries Trust. Okay. So. And Ryan Blumenthal, Cooper's got to be like close to 1 now.
He's getting up there. He's a big boy.
Right. So Ryan is his position with the club is
supporters panel.
So we have 2 people who are in our little group who are directly connected that would have known about this early on, and we knew about this like 3 weeks ago. And it was only because Ryan and Mark were asking, hey, what's going on? We're hearing things. Tell us what's happening so we can let people know. So it's not something that we didn't do, the AmeriCanaries. It's because communication was very poor. And Mark and Ryan were trying their best to get information out so we could spread it to anybody who was inclined to go.
Yeah, it could have been a great deal. And maybe it still will be. Maybe it will. But I just think if you're going to do this, Thanksgiving week ain't it.
Yeah, I really can't see anybody who isn't like within 2 hours drive going there. I mean, you're not going to get anybody from, Atlanta area or Jeff, who is, in South Carolina. Jeff went down there last time that
Right.
was there. It's a far drive, but it's doable
It's
apparently.
doable. Yeah,
It,
for
it's
him.
it's it, it, it's doable, but you're not going to get anybody. Like, come on, Thanksgiving Friday, and there's no planning at all
I
in
mean,
advance for people to figure out what's going on. Like, and then when the World Cup schedule's released, it's like, why would I? I mean, people are figuring out, okay, what are we going to do to watch this match? People aren't going to just go, oh, sure, let's go there Thanksgiving Friday just so we can see the guys in person.
and to be clear, it's something that you'd probably have to drive through because you're not getting tickets. You're not flying to Tampa for this.
Mhm.
Not that week.
I only flew on Thanksgiving Wednesday once. That was when we were living in Albuquerque. Boy, was that a hassle. That was just something I would never, ever do again.
Yeah, when I was in college, I'd bug out of Norman on Tuesday night. I'd catch the last Southwest flight out of Oklahoma City to Detroit, except for the one time I missed my flight, and I stayed overnight in the airport and got the first flight out in the morning, and that wasn't that bad. That first flight out in the morning on the Wednesday wasn't terrible, but still.
Yeah, when we flew from Albuquerque, I remember it was nighttime when we were picked up, so it had to be after, 5 o'clock or so.
Yeah.
And it was, I think the flight was fine. Just when we landed at BWI Airport, like, wow, now I know why people don't fly on this day. It was just
Yeah, you can only put so many people on a plane, but
right.
when they all get to where they're going, they're all in the airport at the same time, and that gets a little crazy.
So let's see, we're in a flight pattern for BWI, so
Yeah.
certain times it's like every 30 seconds you see a plane, going overhead. We're not that far away. I'm like 15 minutes door to door to the airport, so we see planes regularly. They're low enough where we know which airline it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going on. So if any of you are going, great.
Please
Let us know.
It. Yeah,
Please let us know about it. Take pictures, videos, whatever. We'd love to be able to see what's going on, but it just we're frustrated by the timing and the lack of communication thereof. And so with communication, I don't know how many people listening. You people was rude. Sorry. Follow Talk Norwich City. In the past we've had Chris Reeve on. We'll get Jack on eventually. They had a pretty good get. They interviewed Mark Atanasio and his son, whose name I don't know yet. And they already put out teaser videos. So tomorrow, 5 UK time. So what are we still 5 hours behind?
Yeah, I think they've updated their clock.
Okay,
So noon for you.
So it's 12 noon East Coast. They're going to drop the interview. So it'd be really interesting to see what's going on. Looks like they're doing it in somewhere in the stadium. I can't really tell where it is.
I'm not sure, but they got somewhere nice for it because it's not where they usually have it.
Right. It's not at one of their houses. I'm not sure whose house. I think it's Chris's house.
Yeah.
I think it's Chris's house where they do it. So they're interviewing them. So it should be very interesting to see what he has to say. Other than there's like a minute, 90-second teaser that we've seen where Mark Atanasio shows his socks, and I've seen some people go, "Oh, socks and the hoodies." There's nothing wrong with colorful socks and the hoodies, guys. Because I wear hoodies all the time, and when I actually do dress up, I don't wear boring socks anymore. My socks are all very interesting because I figure, why not, liven it up a little bit and see what's going on. So the fact that he did it, good for him. And good for him. Oh, let's go find, some, yellow and whatever socks. I don't think he got them off of the club shop, and who knows what's going on.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it should be very interesting.
On too.
Yeah, it should be very interesting to see what he has to say because he's getting in this, but he clearly is not a soccer dude right now. There's a lot of things that he's learning and new experiences for him. So it should be interesting for how he uses those experiences and uses his experience with the Brewers. Go, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Here's my
Right.
recommendation on what I would like us to do.
Well, and there's two areas on that I think he can have some influence. The first one being the one that scares me the most, that being player personnel and all of that. I mean, there may well be some things that he can bring with him from the Brewers, as far as talent and philosophies and things. But it's hard to know how that's going to translate, and that's I say it's scary, but only because it's so unknown. But what I'm looking forward to is the business side.
Right.
The business side, connecting with fans, basically doing that true repeat of what he's been able to build in Milwaukee with that relationship with the supporters there. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That'd be nice.
And if we were to have him on for us, I mean, obviously sorry, I keep jumping in here, but
that's something I would like to do. I'm not sure who we need to talk to and like, hey, here's
ambitious.
the deal.
Hey, we're over here too,
He's so I don't know. I have no problems calling and saying, here's what's going on. This is, what we like. Who do we need to talk to start getting this rolling?
I have a feeling that 85-90% of what we'd want to ask is going to get covered in what we find tomorrow from TNC. My question is what is this going to do? And this is just being us over here. What's this going to do for supporters over here?
Mm-hmm.
What does this mean for us over here?
Right. That's a very good question.
And I'm not being selfish with it. It's just that I think we're on the same page question-wise with everybody over there. That's the one question we can add, is to say, hey,
right.
What's this mean for us over here?
Right. How are you going to extend the reach to make us more included? Make us, more feel what's going on? Because the bigger clubs, you got freaking supporter clubs all over the places, especially your top 6 clubs,
right.
A bar. Like if you go to New York City, here's the Arsenal bar, here's a Spurs bar, here's a Man City bar, here's, your Newcastle bar or whatever, that's like, there's nothing. Like there's places that have, Norwich. In New York, there's, like with the football factory or whatever, just because the guys go, but it's not necessarily Norwich bar.
No, and I get
and we don't have like supporters clubs. We have this. There's nothing that's like, hey, we have an official club like this. New York has New York Canaries. Okay, that's close to an official club. I think it's recognized, but
they are.
It's not like supporters clubs. You don't have in your area. You don't have the Dallas area. There's nothing in Baltimore, Washington.
No, ours is a state level, and we meet informally 2-3 times a year for games. That's all we do.
Right.
I get questions probably 3 times a month from people saying, "Hey, I'm going to be in this town. Where do I go for the games?" And I'm like, right. I would pick some other team's place and just go and, recognize that they're probably not going to harass you too much because we're so far under the radar right now.
When my son and I were doing college tours, we were in Chicago. He was looking at Northwestern, and that morning it was like a 6 o'clock. Yeah, it was the early match. Man City was playing Arsenal. So there was a bar that both of them were at. Basically, it was an Arsenal bar. Actually, it's pretty big. It was nice, and it was kind of on a main, not too far from Wrigley, because I was kind of familiar with the area from when we had gone to Wrigley before. So I'd seen this place. I knew where it was. Of course, I got screwed up the directions, and instead of showing up at 6, I think I showed up at like 6:10 or something like that, with how I was going. But that clearly was an Arsenal bar, and the Man City people were in there, and it was fine. We went there. He's a Man City fan, so we watched the match, and I don't think we got anything to eat. I think we each got like a I don't even know if we even got anything to drink. It may have just been water or something watching it, but that clearly was a soccer bar, home of Arsenal, but everyone else was welcome there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing to attend as, so-called an out of towner, just, showing up and seeing what's going on. But that was a very large place, sports place that was making a buku amount of money at
Right.
6 o'clock on a Saturday morning. From I think that wound up being a draw, like 2-2 or something. I forgot what it was,
Right.
but there's yeah, they clearly have okay. There's an Arsenal club. There's a Man City club. Other than New York, there really is not anything formal
Right.
that we have set up at all. And I don't think the club has any interest at this point. That would be a question for Mark Antonasio. Okay, there are supporters here. There's nothing official. Be great if we can have something semi-official where we can get recognized and have official standing like the big clubs do.
Well, we have, if you go and there is a supporter group list on the club's website.
Mhm.
It's there. Toronto's there, New York's there, uh, Lone Star for Texas. We're on there. The assorted countries are all there.
Mhm.
Um, and then it kind of breaks down beyond that. I don't know how many individual cities have how many individual cities actually have anything outside of New York. I don't know that it's anybody
Right.
outside of New York and maybe Toronto.
Right. Then you have
Uh,
the international ones like the Italian Canaries
yeah,
or whatever, right? Or the ones
the
that show up
country
with
based.
flags. Right.
Yeah,
The
they're
country-based ones.
country based. And I mean,
Right.
Texas might as well be a country based one too, because we're spread out all over the place as well. Uh,
The Republic of Texas.
yeah, well, might as well be. Don't want to get too political with that, but yeah, it's
Well, it's just going back in history. I'm avoiding any politics with Texas.
yeah, probably smart. We're trying to avoid the politics too. It's kind of embarrassing down here right now.
It's
But
okay. I already chastised my stepfather down in Florida for one of his votes.
yeah,
I
well,
was quite unhappy with that.
we're in a massive race to the bottom with them right now. I think so. Just the ridiculousness and the dog whistles of irrelevant crap that they try to make all of their local campaigns about. Anyway, that's probably 90 seconds too much spent on that. But
Other than vote,
yeah, but
exercise your right to vote.
where I'm going is, it's a little bit different culture. I think your big clubs, they all have their places in the big cities.
Mhm.
They do. I know we have them here. I think the difference is that culturally we are so much more different in America that yeah, there's hatred, but it's not this cultural hatred of other teams like you get over there, in that you don't walk into somebody's bar, you don't walk into an Arsenal bar in Tottenham colors, or you don't walk in,
Mhm.
pick your rivalry.
Right.
You don't walk into their place in your colors and expect to not be harassed.
Mhm.
It's not really a problem over here.
Right. Versus
It's
here.
it's
Oh,
it's really
come
not.
on! Your team's gonna lose, but yeah, come
Yeah,
meet with
I mean,
us.
yeah,
Right.
there's going to be banter, but
Right.
it's not going to be anything beyond that. I mean, and
You
I
would hope
say
not.
that
Yeah.
and I say that not just because we're Norwich, and like I say, we're under the radar. Nobody really hates us. That's going to be somewhere at a pub. I mean, you're not going to see any Ipswich people at a pub, and the longer that goes stretches out where we're not even at the same level, you know, the more and more that rivalry is going to go away. I mean, it'll still be there, but if they don't play each other outside of cups
Hmm.
for 30 years, is it really a rivalry anymore? Something to think about.
Agreed. Yeah. So that's one thing I'd.
And we're
So
not 30, we're a long ways away from 30 years, but
right.
a
I,
generation.
but that would be a question for him. Like, how are you going to engage the American fan
Yeah.
base, which is fairly strong, especially when they're
We're
in the Premier League.
Yeah, it's been almost 10 years since we've had a tour. Are we going to get a summer tour? That'd be great.
They were in Sacramento?
Yeah, they went out to the West Coast. It was Sacramento, San Jose, and Portland.
Yeah, it was Sacramento. I remember finding news clips and sending it to people. It's like, oh, I found something. Here's a news clip of something. This is what I found to show you what's going on, because there was no coverage. So it's just like scouring, trying to find stuff and sharing with the people. But
it was Sacramento, San Jose, and Portland were the games, and that was the Ricky Van Wolfswinkel year. So that was 2015.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're just not going to do it. It reminded me when I was in the Ann Arbor area. This was when I stayed in the same hotel that I heard that Real Madrid was going to be staying in, because they were going to be playing Man U at the Big House that weekend. So I was there like on a Tuesday, Wednesday sort of a thing. And then they were due to show up on like Thursday. So they weren't, it was like a resort hotel in Ypsilanti, which is where Eastern Michigan is. And Eastern.
I'm sorry, the way you pronounce that.
What?
You put the Y in there.
Ypsilanti.
It's
whatever. Whatever. Ypsilanti.
Yeah, Ipsy.
Fine.
Sorry.
The Y's there. Y's silent. Whatever. So it was some resort hotel, like a Marriott, a resort hotel of a golf course. And so they're staying there and they're playing the freaking Big House. Them and Man U, they're playing each other. So for those who aren't aware, like Eastern Michigan and then the exit for the Big House are like one exit away. I think it's the main east-west. I think it's I-94 or something.
94.
Yeah.
94.
So it was interesting. So they're playing there, and the what is that, like one of the biggest stadiums in the world for capacity or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got several in America like that, and we don't need anything like that, certainly. But if they wanted to play a game at Lambeau or play a game in Chicago or Kansas City, I'd love a Midwest tour. And that's what I would see them doing. The whole West Coast thing, I'm not sure part of that was because
I don't think
Hucks had played for San Jose, I think, and that was a part of it. That's part of why they went out west.
I can't see them playing any big venue. I can see them playing at an MLS specific venue, whatever.
I don't expect them to come to Texas because it's just so bloody hot here in preseason. So,
right. I mean, that would be a nice thing to do, but that would have to be something that, Mark Athanasio, hey, it would be great. Maybe if you guys could come here and I can, help you out with the arrangements and do something. And we tell people far enough in advance that they can actually come and, see the team do it. But I can't see it happening right now in this economic environment. That they'd have to be settled. They'd have to be promoted to the Premier League and then not relegated from the Premier League in order to do it. And they would have to think that they were solidly, mid-table at some point in time.
Having a little more American influence too, because how many Leeds fans are coming out of the woodwork in America right now? Or finding themselves pushed towards Leeds because of all the American connections on that club right now.
Don't know. Well, every year when a team gets promoted, those who are sort of, hey, maybe I should start following it.
Right.
I'm going to pick one of the promoted teams and follow them.
But right now, I think Leeds are the most heavily American Premier League club in existence right now. So between coaching and the roster, it's an American club. It's
I'm gonna have to look at the roster. Yeah. There actually is a Leeds fan, and I actually haven't seen the vehicle. Several years ago, I saw a vehicle that had a Leeds sticker on it, and then one time when I was in my grocery store, I'm pretty sure I saw the guy, because he had a Leeds, and I forgot why I didn't approach the guy and say hi. I think I was didn't have enough time or something. But I haven't seen the vehicle, and I haven't seen him yet. But it's not as if I go to the grocery store at the same time all the time.
Right.
But there's a Leeds guy. I'm like, what's with the end? You just see him
Right. No, it's 2 Americans and a coach.
Okay.
So, because it's Aronson and Adams.
Well, Norwich has got you 2 Americans.
Yeah, we do, but we're not the Premier League.
Correct.
But one of them's on the roster, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
hey, maybe we'll see where we're at in 4 years. Because no matter what happens this year in Qatar with our club, this roster is not about this year. It's not about this cup. It's about, because I think they're the youngest roster
possibly
going to Qatar. This is a young team, and so whatever happens, I mean, to me, anything out of the first round is gravy at this point. So it's all prepping for when.
Honestly, I think the expectation is that they finish second.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the expectation that they beat Wales and they beat Iran, and if whatever they get out of England, I think it'll be competitive. I would tend to think England would be favored, but I don't think it's going to be 9-0 or something. I think you're going to get something out of there because they all sort of know each other. It's not an unknown. There's a lot of known, and people know what's going on. I think it's going to be highly competitive. And if Josh gets a goal, hey, I think I'm going to. Depending on how he does, that's the determination of whether I'll get a USA Josh Sargent jersey or not. I'm just not. I'm not one of those who's just blindly going to.
Well, I'll probably be wearing my Tron jersey on Black Friday. So
the Tron jersey's great. I really wish I had jersey. So. I really wish I had bought that. They just okay, we have the jersey, and then that's it. We're not going to produce anymore, and we're only going to wear it once.
Yeah. I got it on the second run though, I think.
Yeah, well, I didn't because I was always waiting for, and I'm not someone who's gonna I need to get a jersey. I have so many things here. I could wear something for the Orioles for a month straight. If I the Orioles, and I even have more that will when our dryer is fixed tomorrow. I'll be able to, I have to be able to actually go through and figure, because I got all of the giveaways for the Orioles. As a season ticket holder, you can pay $200. You can get all of the giveaways. So I have some of the so all the things, I have all of them. And the best is they had the soccer jersey. It was it says Birdland FC 22 in the back, and it's nice looking, except my son is very annoyed by this, and I was annoyed by it. So soccer jerseys, you got your crest on the left-hand side, and then prior to all the new manufacturers, you would have the whatever the logo is. So now you got the crest on the left-hand side, and you have whoever makes it. Well, the Orioles are screw that. We're gonna do our circular logo that they have on the arm, the arm patch.
Right.
So they have a circular logo where it's two rings. The outside ring says Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, it's a roundel. It's a roundel logo. Yeah.
Right. And then in the inside it's the flag. So what they decided is well, that's going to be on the left-hand side. Okay, that's great. And then they're putting the cartoon bird on the right-hand side. So they have two logos on the front. Right. But it's really nice looking. And I got an X large, and I'll eventually, put it on, but it's really nice.
But it's the swinging bird in the roundel. That one?
No. In the round, no. It's not. It's just the flag. It's the flag.
Okay.
It's the shoulder patch. It's the sleeve patch. That's what they're using.
Yeah. So
it's this patch on the sleeve, and that would have been fine. But that's not what they're doing.
Now they're doing what they're doing. So. What was I going to?
Well, let's wrap this up here.
I think so. I'm trying to think of anything else that we've missed, and World Cup playoff beard. So since I had to shave for Halloween, it's already growing back. So
Mark shaved for Halloween because of the Andy Reid costume that he went with. He's putting the hat on.
Yeah. I don't have the play sheet in front of me, but it was a killer. It was a killer
God.
at school. It was a killer.
Mark showed me the play sheet, and I don't know how many plays are on there. All I could tell was, oh, those are runs, and everything else is like, that's a pass or something else. But these 10 are runs.
I
had no idea what I was looking at.
We went to a Halloween party, and I just pulled this one online. It was from some school. I don't know where. I just grabbed it. I didn't use one of ours. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to decode this thing. And my wife is like, well, do you understand any of this? I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to. It was like hieroglyphics. You got to kind of start piecing things together. And, everything's tagged with a number. And I'm like, well, typically, the even numbers are to the left, the odd numbers are to the right with which way the play is going and things like that. And so I'm kind of starting to make this out and different runs. And, these running plays might be which gaps you're going through, A, B, and C gap. And, some of them had the route patterns listed, and, and some of it's universal language. So, zombie typically is you try to draw them off sides. Zombie, tombstone, dead man, anything like that. Freeze plays where you're hard counting and trying to get a free play out of it. So, things like that. But I got most of it. So,
mostly,
yeah, their pass plays were all pretty much tagged with just the route combos, so it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was looking at, other than those are runs.
Yeah.
So football is definitely a sport I could never coach. I coach baseball. Football, no.
Yeah.
For football, I did baseball. Any other sport, it's like, nah, okay. It's like, okay, football, no. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, our season is finally over, so normally we're still going right now. This weekend was the first round of playoffs, and we're not in them. So we're done. But our junior high team was very successful this year. It was, I got to be a part of one of the most successful junior high campaigns in that school's history, certainly in recent memory. So
there you go. For those who don't know, Mark is in Texas, so they start playing football when they walk.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Here's your toddler team.
And I'm going to retire to Michigan, where they'll start playing hockey as soon as I can walk. So get them out there with the Lowe's bucket, pushing the little Lowe's bucket around on the ice.
I don't think there really is middle school teams. There's a lot of there's youth football, and like each area has their own.
Yeah, well, we have that too.
Like there's the Howard County Terps, and there's this Lightning, and then there's this, whatever. So it's like youth football, and then they go up. So it's like, oh, you're in the 7s, you're in the 8s, you're on the 9s.
Right.
So every team it's the same team name, whatever it is, and you just graduate, and then they play whenever they play. So that's what they have here. I don't think middle schools play each other at all. So the feeder system is this club system that is
right.
That is set up. It's not Little League, but that's what it is.
I wouldn't expect you to have 6th and 7th grade football, but I can't imagine you guys don't have 8th grade football.
I don't know that, Mark.
Year.
Yeah. I am unaware of that. If they do, I'm unaware of that.
Yeah.
I'm unaware that
your mileage may vary. But yeah, I'd be very surprised if there was an 8th grade football. Pretty much everywhere.
I'm laughing. Mark said your mileage may vary because of what I used to do before I escaped in the fuel economy area. So yeah, mileage does vary. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I use that term a lot.
Yeah, it varies a lot. All right, let's end this here. So for those, we're probably not going to have one before Thanksgiving unless we have a surprise guest. We're still going to try to get guests, and also knowing, what schedule's happening next week of everyone coming in. Mark's having people come in. I don't know what Jeff's situation is, so we're probably not going to have one prior to Thanksgiving. I'd like to have a couple before the end of the year. We're trying, Michael Bailey has said, yeah. Haji has definitely said yes.
Haji's kind of open on that. And we have an informal for Rob and Chris too, but we just haven't pressed them on that.
Right. So we need to get them. Haji actually was over in Madrid seeing Celtic get hammered.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear his, experiences with that. And, for a Scottish guy who speaks fluent Spanish, it's always pretty humorous to me.
Right. Right. I'm looking at my calendar just when I'm out. Yeah, I really don't get out until right before Christmas because Christmas is on a Sunday. So
Correct.
I'm out. My last day is the 21st, which is that Wednesday. So if we do something, it's going to have to be early Christmas break. Well, but my early Christmas break isn't as early as it, because sometimes it's as early as like the 17th, depending on how everything falls.
Right. Because Michael Bailey said that he'd be interested in doing something about that time and get Haji in there. And then hopefully we'll get Sean and other people on to talk about. Maybe we'll get, Sean and there's a couple other people who went. Maybe we'll see if we can get them all to talk
at
the same time.
Start ramping this up a little bit.
Yeah. So thanks for those of you who are listening. We hope to do this a little more frequently, and you understand the reasons why this hasn't been happening, because stuff happens to people and you have to be respectful of what's going on. Believe me, I've asked a lot to see, hey, what's going on, can we do one? And this is the first one we were able to get Mark, and now he's sort of in between the transition of his wife's surgery and then another surgery,
and then football and basketball season on top of it. So because I only coach 4 sports. So
I only did one.
Yeah.
I only did one. I don't know enough about the other sports to you wouldn't want me coaching the other sports. I can follow it, but it's like I'm not drawing up any plays for football or basketball or
the thing about junior high is you got to keep it pretty simple. So you may get this great big huge playbook handed down from the high school, but you're not installing all of that. You're only installing 25% of it, maybe 30%.
Hand off to that guy and run that direction. You guys block in that direction. Okay, great.
Oh yeah. Our crosstown rival in football, their 7th grade team kicked everybody's butts this year, and it was all student body left, student body right, because they had a dude. Their running back was a dude, and when you have a dude, you just student body left, student body right. And let him get around the corner and score.
My son's freshman year of high school, they had 2 dudes who were running backs, and they did very well because they had no pass plays. So if you basically stuffed the run, they had nothing.
Yeah.
So they played a school. It's one of the older schools in the county, and they just decided they're going to stuff the run, and they won. And it was funny because while we're watching that, it's like this one guy was making like all the tackles. So this guy wound up going to Minnesota, and his last 3 years basically started on the D line. He's not in the NFL. I think we found him at Oregon, sort of like he ramped up, like I forgot what he is, but all of a sudden he's like an associate head coach or something like that. But it's one of those guys. His last name was kind of elaborate. It seemed like he made every tackle. It was unbelievable. So they had 2 dudes, and they just stopped them, and they had no passing attack. Then, like the next year, 2 years later, they figured out a passing attack and were a more balanced team and actually upset a team that's perennially strong, one of the 2 richer high schools, and where I live is a very rich area. So the rich of the riches, and upset them. I mean, they're ones that will come out. It's like, oh, you got a smoke machine? They come out through a tunnel? Whoa, this looks big time, people. Oh, you're renting a snow cone truck? Ooh, wow, it's like, so they were able to beat them in an upset, and then get ranked, and all of a sudden, of course, next week they lose, because they just happened to So they didn't have a running back dude. They had decent wide receivers and were able to score.
Yeah, well, you can have wide receivers, but if you don't have a kid that can throw,
he got better.
And that's our problem with the junior high level.
He got better. He got taller. He got taller and he got better because like the freshman year, he was shorter and everything had a huge arc. He got taller and then there was less of an arc. So they actually were able to play better overall. But freshman year, his passes were just arcs and they were
floaters.
There wasn't anything. And then he got better. So it was interesting seeing that. So, all right. I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy. So USA plays Wales 2 p.m. on November 21st, and then USA England 2 p.m. Black Friday, and then a couple days after that they're playing Iran. I don't even know what time that is. You can
probably 2. I think it's another 2 o'clock.
Yeah,
game.
I don't know if it might be 2 o'clock. They're playing Iran at that point. So if it's like 4 days in between, then I guess it's the 29th somewhere. Hold on, I have the schedule. So here's the schedule. So let's see here. When are they playing? I saved it. It is the 29th. I'm right. 2 p.m. 2 p.m. on the 29th. Yeah. They're playing. There's 2 10 a.m. games. Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's like the last game. Ecuador, Senegal in the morning. Netherlands, Qatar.
Yeah.
At 10. And then you have Wales versus England. So I remember, of course, Wales versus England. So that should be interesting there too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 2 p.m. game.
Right.
FS1 Fox, yeah.
Yeah, and the 29th is a Tuesday, so.
Right. 29th is a. Yeah, so like the 5 a.m. games are all, they're not very, they're not great. Argentina clobbers Saudi Arabia, hopefully. Morocco, Croatia, interesting. Switzerland, Cameroon, some interest there.
I think EA Sports has Argentina picked to win this year.
Wales versus Iran, just looking at the 5 a.m. games. Australia versus Tunisia. Japan, Costa Rica. That's actually interesting. Cameroon versus Serbia. That's actually very interesting. And then you go to the games. So let's see, the 21st is it starts the 20th. England, Iran is 8 o'clock Tuesday. Yeah, so it starts. So you get like a week of 5 a.m. games, and then the better ones are 2 p.m. France, Australia, Belgium, Canada, Brazil, Serbia, England, U.S. Right, Argentina, Mexico. That's a Saturday. Spain, Germany. That's on Sunday. Good job scheduling, guys. Portugal, Uruguay, Monday. So the 2 o'clock games are your sexier games. Your 5 a.m. games, not so sexy.
Yeah.
Not so sexy. So Borat likes 2 p.m. games, doesn't like the 5 a.m. games.
Right.
All right. So wish everybody happy Thanksgiving. Look up the schedule. We hope everyone does great. Contact us about your willingness to come on the pod, especially those who have actually gone over and visited. And if you have any suggestions and recommendations, great. Thanks for listening, watching, whatever. And I said, have a great Turkey Day. Bye.
Bye.